Well, hey, y'all, we're trying for number 5 now. I don't know if you can hear me yet or not, and I'm just going to wait a moment to see if anybody comes in. But we are having technical difficulties this morning. I'm going to go ahead and post it that I'm live again on my community tab, and we'll see if anybody comes in. And let me get over here and find my lives first. We're trying this. We're trying this.
Let me get over here and find my lives first. We're trying this.
Well, it sounds like my sound has fixed itself, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to share this out. And I sent the post. Okay. So we're having technical difficulties this morning. We had some problems with the sound quality. There was no sound. There was a lot of static. No one could hear me talking. And we had a few people going through, so I'm going to go ahead and shout out their names and welcome them in, even though they aren't here yet or they may have moved on to other things because of the technical problems, but they're going to get credit for being here. Yes, Joy, I had some technical problems this morning. Phew, I think I finally got it fixed. So we're going to shout out the names that came through, and then I'm going to move on, and I'm glad that you can hear me now. I checked it to make sure that everything was working on my computer before I went into my live. But Janet Homestead, where you are, Yellow Shirt Dad, the Stock Explorer, Michelle Crochets in Kansas, Rushing Wind Mountain, Cricket 208, The Fitness Hutch, CNC Farm, Bay's Place, Anything Possible, K5 Prepper, Smoky Mountain Blessed, Nature Backyard, and Tuber Chat were here. So thank you all for coming in, and welcome in Maria. I really appreciate you, Maria, for coming in and y'all coming back. We're going to try this again. And I think my sound quality should be better this time. I don't know what was going on. I think it was computer related. So I shut down everything and rebooted my computer, checked my sound on it to make sure it was working, and then started my live. So hopefully y'all are hearing everything clear this time. So let me know in the chat if it's clear. And we will get started in just a moment. I'm hoping we can get some more people coming on over. Y'all, this has been a morning, let me tell you. This has been a morning. And I don't know which one I'm in here. Okay. And it looks like Cricket has come in. Scratching Pete's here. Welcome in. Storyteller Donnie. Get y'all's names written down. I'm so glad that we finally got all these crazy issues taken care of. Wow, I've never had that really happen like that before. Maria is working and listening. Thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes it goes sideways crazy, and it just makes it hard to get a stream going. But thankfully, we've got it fixed. And I actually prayed before I went live this time. I said, Lord, fix the issues, because I didn't know what to do. I was thinking I was going to have to just forego doing the live today, but I didn't want to do that because I have a lot of shout outs. We have a lot of interesting topics to discuss today. And I really and truly want some friends to come up on panel with me. Even though we got a late start, at least we're getting started. Yes, it's been a crazy, crazy morning. So, Missy's channel, these are, hey, Leonard, welcome in. I think you're new with me. You may have been around before. I just can't remember. These are the channels that need watch hour. So I'm just going to read through the list because we're already behind and not go into any details on these channels. Missy's channel, Bad Stang 93, Bad Ass 93 Stang, Carpenter Self-Reliance, Corner Clubhouse Cabalt, Big Dude, CNC Farm, Our New Land, Just Doing Our Best, Hardneck Farm, Wendy, Mountain of Inspiration, GJ's Journeys, Butler Family Farm, Barb's Country Home, Canadian Family Life, Little Ridge Farm, Storyteller with Uncle Bill, Janet Homestead Where You Are, Yellow Shirt Dad, Pedrosa, Travel, and Travel or Bust. Those are the channels that will need watch hours, and that will be in the original live that I set up that says Let's Be Friends. In the description box below, you can go click on all those links. I am not going to go through all that again and try to get it moved over to this live and get it set up for y'all. So y'all have to go back to the original live for today to find all of the links that I have mentioned. And thank you for sharing that, Joy. If anyone wants to click watch later, Tropical Beach time lapse is gorgeous. Wow, Donnie knocked it out of the park, and she put a link to that. Appreciate you doing that for us. And I'm going to start going through the channels that are needing friends. Cricket 208. Excuse me, y'all. All this excitement's got my throat itching. Hey, welcome in Our New Land. You missed all the fun that we had on the last 4 tries to get this live going. Let me get you written down here. That was a big mess up, I tell you what. Did I write down? No, I didn't. So if I've missed anybody in the chat, y'all forgive me. I see Storyteller Donnie's here. Okay, Cricket 208 is a young channel. She just released a video yesterday, and it was her flowers in her garden, and they were beautiful, y'all. She has 138 friends. Kathy Paina comes to us from Hawaii, and she has 452 friends, and a really interesting lady. Oh, excuse me. Bay's Place has 230 friends. Alfonso Simmental has 343 friends. Handicapped Traveler has 571 friends. Crazy Hillbilly has 132 friends. Our Treasured Home has 965 friends. And we want to push Miss Nancy and Anastasia to that 1,000. So y'all be sharing her out this week. Welcome in, Henry. I appreciate you being here. That's Henry Leslie Vermont. Get you on my list. Buying Space has 834 friends. The Fitness Hutch has 762 friends. YouTube Police has 215 friends. Wayne's World Unlimited has 393 friends. Corky's Tea Time has 62 friends. Monia and Dory's Show has 816 friends. Good Time Homestead with Jen and Steve has 930 friends. Littlefoot Ranch has 536 friends. Mary Burney has 391 friends. Team Jesus Ministers has 104 friends. They passed their 100 mark. Woo! Woo! We're excited about that one. Storyteller Donnie is almost at 400 with 384 friends. And 6 Acres Farm has 813 friends. Welcome in, anything possible. I appreciate you coming back, my friend. I've already shouted you out. I saved all the names from the other flops of the live and made sure to shout everybody out that had come through this live. But I think we've got the technical issues fixed now, except for my voice. Now my voice is going bad. Hey, Kevin with Tuber Chat. We had glitches this morning. many glitches this morning. Y'all, I discovered that we can't use our lifetime watch hours. Once you pass that year mark, you can't use those watch hours to go by to reach your 4K monetization. You have to use the 365 days. Messed me all up because I was so close, and it just really disappointed me bad, but it is what it is, and I'm going to continue on. So we're going to go through where I am exactly and what I need to reach that 4K and the number of friends that I need to reach the 1K. My watch hours as of today are 3,115.3. The last 7 days, I had 102.4 watch hours, which is really good. I'm over that 100 mark. I was really excited about that. And the watch hours I need now officially are 884.7. And I am really close to the 4K on the lifetime hours, but that's not going to help me with my monetization at this point. Yeah, Smoky Mountains, blessed, Joy. I was going by the lifetime hours, and I had been going by the lifetime hours, and I did not realize, when I passed that 1 year mark, that it went back to the 365 days. So that was my fault. It's nobody else's. I have brain farts, so it takes a little time for it to sink in, and I was really struggling with it. And Ethan Possible says, I struggled last night with StreamYard. First 10 minutes of my live is me mumbling under my voice at StreamYard. Well, it is what it is. And I think mine was a computer problem. I don't know if it didn't load properly or what. So I shut down the computer and I reloaded, restarted it, rebooted it. And then I made sure to check a video on there to make sure I was getting sound before I came on the live again. Because I thought, well, oh no, we're going to have to get rid of my computer now. Thank you, Nora, for coming back. I appreciate you coming back, my friend. You've been shouted out. So my friends as of today are 956, and I only need 44 more friends to reach that 1K mark, which I'm really excited about, y'all. And welcome in, Black Money Corp. I welcome you in. And I don't think I had you on my list before. Anything possible, you don't want to mute it. You want to turn it down low. You can actually slide the slider over on the video down real low, then turn your volume down real low. You won't be hearing it. But they don't count it when you don't listen to it for some reason. I don't know. And that's really hard because when people are deaf, they don't hear anyway. So hello again, Barb. Welcome back. It's been a fun morning. Let me tell you what. Yeah, keep it volume 2 or higher. Just enough that you can barely hear it. Our new land is back in the house. Welcome back. Okay. Well, this is fun. This is fun. Y'all, I had several channels that I had trouble tagging in my description box below the original live Let's Be Friends live video. So if you have trouble tagging a channel, this is what I've discovered. You need to go use your cell phone and go to that channel. If you pull it up faster on your cell phone, One of them is Cricket 208. Cricket's name underneath her @Attersan is wait ... Watt 44. So if I put that in, I pull up her channel. But if I put in Cricket 208, it does not pull up. Another one was Crazy Hillbilly. Now there's another Crazy Hillbilly out there that only has 2 friends. This Crazy Hillbilly has 132 friends. And it's, again, I think because of the Attersan, it's Attersan Crazy Hillbilly 5031. Hello, April Showers, welcome in. So I think there may be an issue, because they're putting these tags on our videos now, and it's making it harder for some of them to come up. So if you have problems with tags, like I was having, another one I had on here is YouTube Police. Hey, Hedgehogs Homestead, welcome in. YouTube Police is Mental Cop 4646. And it's the Attersan Mental Cop 4646. And again, it doesn't match your channel name. And I think that's what's causing the issue with some of these channels not popping up when you go to tag them. I may be wrong. I'm usually wrong. But, that's something I wanted to bring up this morning. And maybe Kevin can address that in one of his lives. And by the way, Kevin, I hope that your voice is better, because I'm having Kevin withdrawals, y'all. So maybe, Kevin, you can address that in one of your lives about, your channel tags, the Attersan tag that goes underneath your title of your channel. And let's see. I don't think y'all will be able to see that. No, you're not going to be able to see it. I was going to try to do it on my phone, but that's okay. If you go to your About page or your home page on your thing, just check to see what that Attersan is. And you can go into the studio and actually change that. Oh, good. Yay, Kevin. We're excited. You're going to try to stream tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and get into our news. I'm going to try to keep this shorter since we had so many issues this morning trying to get a live going where everybody could hear me and not just hear static. It was just crazy. Yeah, y'all can drop the word hillbilly and that will pull up your channel and everybody can tag you. Go check out each other's channels, connect and grow. And if you want to know the weather where you're at, you just type in weather and your city and state, and it will pull that up also. So what are our topics of interest? Well, I'm going to start with the Bible. And I'm just going to throw some scriptures out here. Let me get this pulled up. I should have had this already done up. In the Bible, demons refer to themselves as they, them, we, and us. Well, hello, 6 Acres Farm. Welcome in. Welcome in. And let me get you written down so I don't forget. Linda, you missed all the fun. We had to keep changing lives this morning. Not fun, but that's what happened. And Barb's Country Home is back. Thank you for coming back. Okay, so there are several scriptures about this. In the Bible, demons refer to themselves as they, them, we, and us. Mark 5, 1 through verses 13. goes over the unclean spirit and when he was come out of the ship, immediately they met him out of the tombs, a man and with an unclean spirit, they, who was hiding, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, no, not with chains. So that's one of the chapters. And then there's Mark 16:9. Verse 9. And when Jesus was risen early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils. And she went and told them. So anyway, that's the second one. And then there's Luke 8:2. And a certain woman which had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, called Mary called Magdalene, out of whom went 7 devils. And Matthew 8:31. And I hope I'm not missing anybody in chat. So the devils besought him, saying, if thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. So they used the terminology they, them, we, and us, instead of using he and she. Just throwing that out there as a point of interest out of the Bible. Something that I really had not picked up on either, but I came across that on Instagram and I thought, well, that's really interesting. And we need to understand that demons live among us and they are everywhere. And if you've ever come across a person with a demonic spirit and you're a Christian, you should be able to tell that they are demonic. Okay, now we're going to get into the news. Storyteller Donnie says, my painting live last night was going sideways, had to restart over and over and the same. So delete it and did a time lapse, 6 Acres Farms. It's really interesting that this is happening at this point. And it's not just me. So thankfully it's not just me. So thank you for telling me that, Donnie. The Defender, New York City, to track residents' food purchases and place caps on meat served in public institutions. In an effort to curb a 33% carbon emissions reduction by 2030, this will also be tracking other industries like apparel, travel, and healthcare. Well, they're going to track what you're eating now. So it's starting in New York City. And, you know, once it happens in New York City or out in Los Angeles, it's going to go across the nation more than likely. May 17th, Zero Hedge reported the FBI audit reveals 8,000 unjustified searches of American communications. Digital data collected on U.S. citizens in 2021 and 2022, despite having no warrants and no justification under the FBI rules, according to an internal report released on May 10th. The info was collected under the FISA, Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act of 1978. FISA allows the government to collect electronic data, including phone calls. Hang on a minute. Hey, Laura's Yarn Talk. Let me write you down so I don't forget. Okay. Including phone calls, text messages, and emails of foreigners overseas, even if the communication involves a U.S. citizen. U.S. agencies can search that data in connection with the national security investigations under the rules approved by the FISA court. Any search of that data involving a U.S. citizen must meet 3 criteria. It must be retrieving foreign intelligence, i.e., evidence of a crime, retrieving information not related to the purpose, and 3, justified by a special factual basis indicating that it's likely to retrieve foreign intel or evidence of a crime. According to the report, searches in FISA failed to meet those criteria 4% of the time between July 2021 and March 31st, 2022. In 2021, the FBI conducted roughly 3.4 million FISA queries involving U.S. citizens, with 18% non-compliance rate indicates the electronic communications of the U.S. citizens were obtained by the FBI in violation of some rule about 612,000 times in that year alone. Crazy. So we're being surveilled. Of course, we have cameras just about on every street corner where there's a traffic light at. You're now being surveilled in grocery stores and big box stores and other places. We have a camera on our vehicle. So if we get in a wreck or something, we have proof of who was at fault. Laura's Yard Talk is working on getting 500 members. Well, hallelujah. How close are you, Laura? Thank you, Anything Possible. You go do your work. And I appreciate you coming back later to watch. So, number 3 is the Daily Signal, May 17th. The FBI showed up at a childhood home of a pro-life activist. They told the mother of this woman that they wanted to speak with her. Elise Ketch is a member of a progressive anti-abortion uprising, PAAU, a group of mostly left-leaning activists who believe abortion is murder of a human child. You are getting close there, Anything Possible. Okay. The 26-year-old joined the group in December of 2022. Her entrance came as PAAU activists Lauren Hardy, Jonathan Darrell, and Herb Gergathy faced charges from the DOJ for violating freedom of access to clinic entrances. It's an act which prohibits threats or force obstructing property and property damage intended to interfere with the reproduction health care services. The DOJ commonly uses obstruction in charging pro-lifers with blocking entrances to an abortion clinic. And the thing of it was that this woman did not live with her mother. So they scared the bejeebers out of her mother. And, they didn't even have the right address for her. U.S. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, Republican Florida, introduced a resolution to expel U.S. Representative Adam Schiff, Democrat, California, after the Durham report concluded his Russian probe. Schiff repeatedly claimed that he had evidence that 45 colluded with Russia, but never produced the evidence. And apparently Durham didn't find it either. Truth Press on May 20th, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Georgia, announced at a press conference that she was filing articles of impeachment against number 46, AG Merrick Garland, FBI Director Christopher Wray, and other top law enforcement officials for unchecked power. Greene went on to list a litany of offenses against law enforcement leaders who were worthy of impeachment. This includes a U.S. Attorney Michael Graves, a district of the District of Columbia, who has allowed some 67% of the arrests to go unprosecuted. She went on to list charges against each of the above mentioned. Well, hello, Christy. Welcome in. You found the right live? We had major issues this morning. Okay. On May 17th, Blaze Media. Mayor Adams claims 50% of New York City hotel rooms are being occupied by migrants. It's already hurting the economy. Okay, these are asylum-seeking migrants, according to them. Hey, Yellow Shirt Dad, welcome back. The officials estimate about 65,000 migrants have arrived in New York City. Yay for these safe zone cities. Hey, Smoky Mountains Joy, welcome in. Get you on the list. Okay. May 18th, the Gateway Pundit, J&J, Kavogo, you know this thing, no longer available in the U.S. Remaining doses to be disposed of. The FDA announced that it would limit who can receive the J&J due to serious risk of blood clots. The will be limited to those 18 years and above. The decision came after an investigation revealed that there was a risk of thrombosis with thrombocytopenia syndrome, whatever that syndrome is, TTS, a rare and potentially life-threatening blood clots in combination with lower levels of blood platelets following the Janssen. The FDA considered that individuals with TTS may rapidly deteriorate despite prompt diagnosis and can lead to long-term and debilitating health consequences. The FDA also confirmed that individuals experienced anaphylactic reactions after taking the MRA, and they're putting the MRA in our meat. Y'all, this is exactly the reason why I did not take that. I have a fast clotting blood disorder, and I knew that if I took something that was causing these blood clots into my body, that I could die from it. Yeah, and I believe that they all contain that mRNA, and who knows what all they have put in these things. It's really, really scary. So I'm going to keep bringing this stuff up when I find it. Yeah, some people got ITP from bleeding from another brand, which is the reason I couldn't do it, said Christy. And y'all, I had reactions to other vaccines, and I told my doctors, I said, no, I'm not going to do this. I said, I've already had a reaction and I'm not going to take a chance. I have so many autoimmune things going on in my body already. I didn't want to add anything else to this mix going on already. And I'm really, really cautious about taking any kind of prescriptions. I do take things for my sugar, my diabetes, and I take medicine for my blood pressure. And I'm taking a cholesterol medicine, which I can't take the regular cholesterol medicines either. Had a reaction to that. So, I watch if I take a prescription drug, I have to watch very closely how my body reacts. And I don't want to end up in the hospital like I did after one medication that I took, which was a biologic. And I took it for the ankylosing spondylitis and ended up in the hospital with tachycardia. So I don't want to do that. Yeah, Joy, I believe that that's what they were putting out, but I don't think it's true. I think they all are messing with the DNA. Okay, Truth Press on May 20th. A railroad carrying 30 tons of explosive pellets arrives at destination empty. California officials are investigating 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate was used to make explosives, matches, and fertilizers. The explosives belong to Dyno Nobel, a commercial explosives firm. The shipment went missing in April, and the company filed a short incident report to the Federal National Response Center on May 10th. So they waited a good while before they even turned this in. Hey, Bud Files, welcome in. I want to get your name on my list. They believe that the chemicals fell from the train car when moving from the main track to a rail siding. The shipment was transported in pellet form in a curved hopper rail car, similar to cars hauling coal. The spokesman for the Federal Railroad Administration believes that one of the gates on the hopper may not have been closed completely. But, however, you go over to Restricted Republic, and Justin Knight talked about this also. This is a chemical that was used in the Oklahoma City bombing, y'all, many, many years ago. And only 2 tons of this stuff was used in that, and it killed a lot of people. And he went on to further state that the company said that when the car was inspected, all the locks were intact. So they don't know what happened to it. So they can go look along the railroad side of the railroad, see if it's there. But more than likely, somebody stole this. So we have 60,000 pounds of this ammonium nitrate missing in the United States. Very scary. Don't be surprised when this shows back up. Don't be surprised. SCOTUS Justice Neil Gorsuch speaks out against lockdowns and mandates, Brownstone Institute on May 18th. Yeah, we had put big restrictions on that fertilizer. Why were they shipping that much at one time in the first place is a great question. In the case regarding Title 42, Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch breaks silence on painful lockdowns and mandates. He speaks about businesses, schools, churches being closed while casinos and other favorite businesses were allowed to remain open. He also noted that church parking lots were surveilled, recording license plates, numbers, warning those in attendance at an outdoor services about state social distancing. The divided cities and neighborhoods into color-coded zones. Forced individuals to fight for their freedoms in court on emergency timetables, and then charged their color-coded schemes with defeat in court seemed imminent, or they changed the color coding on those communities. Fed executive officials entered the act of not just within emergency immigration decrees. They deployed public health agencies to regulate landlord-tenant relationships nationwide. They used workplace safety agencies to issue the mandate for most working Americans. They threatened to fire non-compliant employees and warned that the service members who refused would also face dishonorable discharge and confinement. There was a furious pace that the executive officials released emergency decrees. The courts only addressed a few of these. He went on to say that the concentration of power in the hands of a few may be efficient and sometimes popular. However, when one person or advisors may be, that this is no substitute for the wisdom of the whole of the American people that can be tapped in the legislative process. This opinion in Arizona versus Mayorkas marks the culmination of his 3-year effort to oppose the Cavovo regime's eradication of civil liberties, unequal application of the law, and political favoritism. Gorsuch, in my humble opinion, is on the side of the people who are the government overseers by the power given over the U.S. Constitution. Beginning on May 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court heard cases challenging the Cavovo restrictions on religious attendance across the country. The court was divided along familiar political lines. And y'all, they're wanting to add more justices to our Supreme Court. Yes, we need to be in prayer over the dangers that everything and anything be exposed and stopped. Absolutely. And we need to be in prayer over making sure that everything is exposed and taken care of. Hey, Glacier Shark Outdoors, welcome in. I hope I didn't miss anybody else, but if I did, I'll try to go back through and write your names down once this live is over with. Zero Hedge on May 18th. Feds start enrolling volunteers for mRNA flu vaccine trials. This time they're actually calling a trial. The NIAID is enrolling healthy adult Americans to test the experimental universal influenza vaccine using mRNA technology. And y'all can go to Zero Hedge and read that article. It's quite interesting. Truth Press, May 22nd. SCOTUS rules IRS can secretly grab bank records of the outside parties. In a 9-0 ruling, which means it was a completely unanimous ruling, a delinquent taxpayer case that it was lawful for the IRS to secretly summons the bank records of third parties. The ruling is a win for number 46 administration. The Inflation Reduction Act strengthens the IRS efforts by allowing $80 billion to the IRS to hire on an extra 87,000 agents. The ruling raises the serious Fourth Amendment concerns. And these are going to be armed IRS agents, by the way. Yeah, Glacier Outdoors, don't take anything experimental. Trending politics on May 21st, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, has expressed optimism that the FBI will turn over the document that was subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, Republican, Kentucky. This document outlined the alleged bribery of number 46 bribery scheme. And from what I understand, he's been snubbed on that again. They said they're not turning it over. So we'll see what happens. The WHO warns, that's the World Health Organization, warns of unusual surge in severe myocarditis in babies in the UK. UK authorities are investigating severe myocarditis hit 15 babies in Wales and England and killed at least one. Infants were born between June 22 and March of 23. They stated it was associated with enterovirus infection, which rarely affects the heart. The UK HSA did not respond to questions about ruling out any links to the effects of the Cavovo, and that came from Zero Hedge on May 20th. The breadwinner, and this article did not give a date. Number 46 gives the VP a new job, taking care of your money. So guess who's going to be in charge of taking care of your money? VP was given a briefing on the ongoing debt limit negotiations after number 46 departed for an international trip. Number 46 left the VP to take part in the virtual briefing on the debt ceiling discussions in his place. Oh, my Lord. Hey, Zarif Bejam. Zarif Bejam. I hope I'm saying your name right. Yes, I see that shocked face, Glacier. Okay, four-term Senator Tom Carper, Democrat, has announced his retirement at the end of his term and will not be seeking re-election to the Senate. Carper is the fourth Democrat senator to announce a retirement ahead of the 2024 cycle, joining Ben Cardin, Maryland, Debbie Stabenow, Michigan, and Dianne Feinstein, California. And y'all be praying for Dianne Feinstein. And the reason I'm asking you to pray is she is getting over shingles. She had a really bad case of shingles that attacked her face and her neck. And the shingles went into her brain. And they are not allowing her to retire early because they don't want to change the Senate numbers. So they're keeping her on, even though she is really not healthy enough to be in that position. Scary, scary, but that's the truth. And we need to be praying for her and for these other senators that are stepping away from politics. And, you know, I keep praying that God will just remove all the evil out of our government, whatever level it is at. Remove the evil and remove those pulling the strings that are not even involved in the government, were never elected. Democrat governor declares state of emergency for public education following a GOP legislative gains on 5/23. This is over school choice and parental rights. And I forgot to write down what state it was, y'all. Y'all forgive me, but I did forget to write that down. And that's the end of all of my topics of interest. If you have anything that you want prayers for, you can drop it in the chat. I'm going to write them down, and I'm going to drop the link here to this live. And if anybody wants to come up and talk about their channel, as long as I can recognize your face and I recognize your channel, and you promise not to be putting any words out there that, thank you for that, Kentucky Prepper 5. It was North Carolina. Putting out any words out there that will get us banned, you can come on up. But I have to recognize your channel and your name. Yeah, we need to be praying for an answer. Of course, God is in charge of everything. I always tell y'all, he has not left his throne. He is on his throne. And he knows exactly who these people are and what they are doing. And whether this is the beginnings of the tribulation talked about in the book of Revelations or not, I'm not going to really say one way or the other, because I think there's still some things out there that hasn't happened that the Bible does tell us about in other books that need to be in place before the Antichrist comes on the scene. Although he's lurking somewhere in the shadows, and we've talked about shadow governments and all this other things going on. And it could be a number of people who would be an Antichrist. An Antichrist is anybody that is not a Christ follower, to be blunt. So there's a lot of Antichrist in the world. And, of course, we're going to put on here to pray for our nations. And to pray for revival. Y'all, did you know that the Ukraine had a revival? They did. Sometimes when war breaks out in countries, people turn to God. And Ukraine is not a heathen nation. It has many, many Christians over there. I knew a lady many, many years ago in the late 1980s, early 1990s, that my landlord was from the Ukraine and had become an American citizen. Her sister remained in the Ukraine, and my landlady came over during World War II. So she was always sending stuff back to her sister and her family to try to help them. And this lady had never seen a refrigerator inside a home. She had never been in a grocery store where you could go and pick out food that you wanted. She talked about standing in long lines and not knowing what you were going to get for that day to feed your family of 5. In their case, it was a family of 5. And a lot of times it was 2 families in one apartment. She had a son-in-law and a daughter with government jobs. They were assigned the jobs. They were trained and assigned the jobs. She was no longer deemed eligible to work. So she took care of the minor children in the home. So she lived with her son-in-law and her daughter and 2 granddaughters. And it was a 2-bedroom home or apartment. It wasn't even a home. It was an apartment. So they would stand in long lines, and they might get a chicken that day, or they might get a loaf of bread. They might get a piece of fruit or some vegetables, but they never knew what they were going to get. It was always wrapped in a brown wrapper, so they didn't even know what was in the wrapper when it was handed to them. And that was their food for the entire day. That was what they got. So my landlady would send over things like flour and sugar and coffee and tea and, the staples to try to help her. And my daughters were about a year older than her granddaughters were. So whenever they outgrew outfits that were in really good condition, I would put them in the box and send them over there. And those little girls were so thrilled that they got American-made clothes because everything they got was handmade. I've talked about this before because also during that Cold War period of time, the Bibles were confiscated. They could not read a Bible. They could not have a church service. They could not have a home Bible study. And if anybody caught on to what they were doing, they would be instantly killed. So all the Bibles were confiscated. Some of the families pulled one page out of the Bible and they memorized the scripture on the front and back of that page. They hid it in their home for fear that it would be found. They hid it really well. And they would take this brown paper that came on the wrapper of the food that they received for that day, and they would write a scripture out on a little scrap of paper, and they would wad it up in their hands and either put it in their coat pocket or somewhere on them. And when they were in the street, they would either reach in their pocket and just accidentally drop it on the ground, or they would shake hands with somebody and pass it through a handshake. And that's how they kept the scriptures alive. And I'm telling you this because it's going to happen here in the United States. Sooner or later, we are not going to be allowed to go to church. We're not going to be allowed to have a Bible if this continues to go in the direction that it's going. And it's very, very scary, y'all, to think that we might go through it here because our country, our nation was built upon Christian Judeo values. And, we have a authority from God that gives us the freedom to worship him. But Satan, being who he is going to try to take away that freedom from us. And this lady literally was amazed at all the riches and abundance of America. She came over for a short visit. Her visit was about 3 months. And she said that it was their faith in God that kept them alive. And it was the passing of that scripture that kept them alive and kept them in God's word and kept them praying that that regime would end. And it did end. And they were able to freely worship again. But something happened over in Ukraine. Evil people running governments happened. And we have a visitor. I'm going to get her up here. Hey, Laura Yarn Talk.
I tried for several minutes to get in. I couldn't decide if it was going to show the right name or not. So I'm like, well, she's only going to know my name. She's not going to know my picture because, my icon is the purple unicorn. So
right.
It's like, okay, well, I'll try one more time. And it says, you want to go in as Laura Yarn Talk? I'm like, yes, that's all I wanted to do from the beginning.
Well, I'm sorry you're having problems. I've had problems.
It's not your fault.
Well, I had problems with StreamYard this morning, and it took me 5 tries to get my sound and my everything working to even do this.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that you're up here. Tell us a little bit about your channel.
Oh, my channel mostly focuses on yarn and what you can do with it. But I also have other things other crafts that I do that I'm going to slowly start bringing in as well. So crochet, knit, I mean, I don't do macrame, but I dabbled at it in the 70s, late 70s. Yeah, I mean, but pretty much anything you can use yarn for. I have a friend who said he brought me a bunch of wool from his family's sheep farm, so I'm gonna have to learn how to card and do everything with my own wool. So that'll be interesting.
That will be interesting. I hope you video that.
I plan to. I plan to. He hasn't given it to me yet, but he told me that he brought it home after he went home to shear the sheep. I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So that'll be an interesting thing for me to learn and show everybody while I'm doing it, while I'm learning it. Sorry, I'm finishing up my breakfast here.
That's okay. I'm getting close to lunchtime around here. My stomach.
Yeah, well, my first meal of the day is always breakfast, so.
Well, I had a peanut butter sandwich for breakfast. I did not even go in there and cook because I was trying to get everything ready for this. And
right,
everybody's name was in my description box and all the good stuff that I do try to do for all the channels that come through. And dang it, the old devil just didn't want me on live.
Not online, yes.
He didn't want me on here today, but we persevered.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, because God keeps telling me you need to slow it down. Take it one step at a time. Breathe, relax.
Yep.
Well, I crochet. I don't knit, but I do crochet. I did do some of the things you talked about in the past. I've never carded wool or anything like that.
Me either.
I've carded cotton.
Okay.
Cotton, and you card it to get all the dirt and everything out and get the fibers. Yep. Right. And
same idea with the wool, as I understand.
Yeah, and I don't have a spinning wheel, although my aunt had one on her front porch for many, many years. She never would bring it in the house. I thought that was just a terrible waste.
Yeah.
But
I have a drop spindle I haven't learned how to do yet. So a few things are going to be coming out that I'm going to be learning and showing at the same time. So it's going to be interesting.
That will be really, really interesting. And, anything that we can do for ourselves is always a plus, especially in the prepper community and the homesteading community.
Yep.
I believe that, the more you can do for yourself and be self-sufficient, the better off you're going to be. So that's wonderful. I think that's great. What a blessing to have a friend like that to give you wool.
I know it. I don't know how much he, like I said, he hasn't told me that any more details or brought it to me. But he knows my situation and he knows I'm trying to get an apartment. So.
Well, even if you can't figure out how to get it into yarn form, you can always stuff pillows with it and mat it down, make felt with it and stuff like that. You can start felting.
True. Yep. That's true. Yeah, I did a little bit of felting. Of course, it was, it was children's toy kind of thing that I was working with at the time, but that was a long, 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 long time ago.
Well, felting, you can felt, wool, whether you crochet or knit, and make purses and scarves and gloves and all kinds of things. I think it's just really neat.
Yep. I made some fingerless gloves with some yarn that had silk in it. I think it was wool and silk, if I remember correctly. And just wearing them at work at the job I had at the time was naturally felted the palms of the hands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was really interesting, all the connection with the mouse, because I was running a mouse at the time. So, right. Connection with the mouse and whatever else I was doing, that was really interesting.
That is
kind of messed up the design, but oh well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm always wanting to learn something new. So anytime I get something like that, I'm going to be trying to figure out how to use it and utilize it. Because I believe in waste not, want not. Yep. You use what you have and you make do. So I'm a big proponent of that.
I also quilt. So and enjoy doing some sewing projects. I'm not so much into clothes as I thought I would be when it comes to sewing. I'm more into designing with the crochet. That's one of the ways I want to go. One of the directions in my channel. But yeah, I'm going to start bringing in some of my sewing projects and my quilting because I've got stuff I need to get done. And I figure why not take my channel along with me? You know, they might learn something new. They might see something that they like, might try something different. Yeah, you never know.
That's very true. And I do a little bit of quilting. I'm not a professional by any means.
Oh,
I
me either.
try to be, but I do the crumb quilts. Where you take little bitty scraps and put them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I do hand embroidery. I don't do machine embroidery. I can't afford the big machines anyway.
Yeah.
So
I lucked into mine. My mother helped me pay for it. So
I wish I had the money to buy all these big expensive machines, but I don't.
Yeah, I understand.
But I do sew, and my most recent sewing thing is I'm sewing aprons. I love aprons. And I think they would be a good item to be if you were going out and setting up a booth to sell things. It would be a good item to add into that. But crocheting right now, I'm crocheting half double crochet corner to corner washcloths.
Oh yes, okay.
I've learned I knew how to do corner to corner with a double crochet, but I did not know how to do it with a half double crochet.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. So, and it's a tighter weave, and I wanted something tight because I'm using the washcloth to wash dishes with.
Right.
So those are going to be something in my giveaway when I reach my 1K. I was hoping to do the 1K and the 4K at the same time. It's not going to happen. So anyway,
no, I know.
But these are cute little washcloths, and I'm going to be putting those into my giveaway for that. We're going to call it a celebration. We're not going to call it a giveaway.
Right.
Keep all the ones that want to steal the prizes out of the picture.
Well, I'm having my birthday bash if everything goes right. Otherwise, I might have to postpone it on June 4th, which is a Sunday, at 8 p.m. I know it coincides with other channels and other lives, but I'm calling it my birthday bash. So yeah.
Awesome. I just did a birthday bash too, not too long ago. My birthday, it was mine and my husband's birthday at the end of April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we did a couple of giveaway items on there just to start, because we had not really, I've given away stuff in other people's celebrations and stuff, but I hadn't done it for myself.
Okay.
And so it's time to do something. And then I did one for, did some things for Michelle Crochets in Kansas when she did her 1K, 4K monetization party.
Yep, I did too.
Yeah, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. See, y'all don't know, y'all haven't seen my craft room. One day I will take you into the craft room, but I will not take you in there until I can have everything organized, because it's quite a mess. I've worked on it and worked on it. You know what I'm talking about when you have a lot of craft stuff. But I was given several years ago, a friend of mine's aunt passed away, and she did crochet and knit and all kinds of stuff. And she told me it was yarn. Well, I went over there and was thinking I'm getting a box of yarn.
Right.
I came back with the number 10, the fine crochet thread.
Oh, yeah.
Tons. I've got dressers full of this, boxes full of this stuff. And crochet magazines, knitting magazines, quilting magazines, quilting books, crochet books. You name it, I got it.
Sounds like my collection.
And I think I've got about 5 or 6 sets of the knitting, the circle knitting needles.
Oh, yeah.
I don't knit. So I'm going to be giving away.
I was going to say, sounds like you've got plenty of stuff to give away then. That's awesome.
Well, I'm trying to build up my crafter community on my channel. So
Yeah.
as I get that built up, I'm going to do a live one day and we're going to give away some stuff because I'm going
Yeah.
to pull things, periodically and say, I need to get rid of this and just pare it down to stuff that I will use because
Right.
I guarantee you, I will not use all I have in a lifetime.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I literally have way, way too much stuff. And
I was getting there.
my husband's like, you need to figure out what you want to keep and just donate. I said, I don't want to donate it. I want somebody I know that will use it, to get it. So I thought this would be a great way to destash my stash and help somebody else out along the way.
That's awesome.
And I think that would be really honoring this aunt of my friend by doing that.
I think so, yes.
So that's a big plan in the future. And I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it's going to happen.
I understand. Like I said, I'm packing to move to an apartment, so everybody saw my yarn wall disappear.
Oh no!
Like, okay, half of it's gone now. It's been packed.
Yeah, I have a yarn wall too. It's not as big as some people's yarn wall, but I still have yarn in totes that I have to put out. And I've got I just sent a package off to Missy's channel because she uses novelty yarns, and I knew she used them, so I sent her those. And I'm looking at the yarns, and I'm like, do I want to get rid of the yarn? Do I want to get rid of this crochet thread? This real fine thread. I've got Barbie patterns. I mean, when my kids were growing up, I would have died to have the Barbie patterns.
I know it.
Dresses. Now I have a full collection of them, and I have no granddaughters. I'm just like,
I understand.
What am I supposed to do?
One of the series that I have on my channel is Mom's Old Magazines. So my mother gave me her old crochet, knit. That's pretty much it that I can think of anyway. Magazines. So I've got like almost 10 years worth of, or maybe even closer to 12 years worth of work basket magazines. So that's one of the things that I've been doing in Mom's Old Magazines.
I love the work basket magazines, by the way.
Have you been watching them?
No, I haven't, but I have the old magazines.
Oh, you have some. Okay.
I don't have a lot of them, but I have a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really thrilled. A lot of the magazines I have are for clothing articles.
Okay.
So if somebody's interested in clothing, and if you're selling on Etsy or one of these eBays or something like that, clothing would be what I would be selling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna be able to sell it for more money for one. And I just gave away a bunch of knitting patterns with Michelle's Crochets in Kansas because that's the first thing I don't need is need the knitting magazines.
Yeah.
And I went looking the other day and I couldn't find. I moved the books, all the books, and I moved them, and I'm like, I don't know where I put them. And then it dawned on me after I mailed the package out to Missy where I had put them.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, I have them on a shelf. Well, it's in a bookcase, but it's off. See, because that room is also the cat room. He's claimed it.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to block everything off so he doesn't climb on my countertops or anything that's in there. So I have all these totes sitting up there so he can't climb up.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, I'm a mess. I'm telling you, I'm a mess. I got to get this clutter under control.
Oh, I understand. I need to get closer. I'm like, I've got no light. It's all behind me.
And I look washed out every time I do this because
so do I. If I either have too much light or not enough, it doesn't matter how many lights I have turned on either.
Well, if I turn on lights, I even look even more washed out. So I just leave the lights off. But y'all, I used to have a lot of color to me. I could tan real easy. But because of all the autoimmune stuff, I can't tan. I can't get out in the sun for long periods of time. Mm-hmm. And when I do, I burn. which I never had a problem when I was growing up. I never burned. But since all this autoimmune crapola, now I burn. So now I'm washed out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Joy says, I have a Woody the woodpecker at my feeder right now. Pretty red head.
Aw.
That's sweet.
I've seen a few at mine too.
We had a woodpecker when we first moved here that would peck on this sugar maple out front. And I don't know if he decided to move on or died and didn't have no relatives to come take its place. But I
Right.
got little peck holes all the way up and down that tree.
I'm sure.
Surprised he didn't kill the tree. But he would be out there pecking in the middle of the night, and I'm like, please go to sleep.
Yep. Well, I have to eat. Being diabetic, I really need to get my food in me, so I gotta go.
Thank you for coming up. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for bringing me up.
Yeah. Got you on my list, and you will be added to that first live in the description box, because I'm not going to move all that back over to this one. I'm just.
Oh, no, I understand. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Great to meet you, Susan.
It's great to meet you too, Laura.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, hello, Mary Burney. Welcome in. I'm going to drop my link again if anybody wants to come up. And if you have any prayer requests, you can drop them also. I'm not going to be on here very long because I did have a good portion of my morning trying to get my live to run properly and everybody be able to hear me. And we had to go through five or six, I lost count, attempts at doing a live before I shut my computer down and rebooted it. But we've had quite a few people come through this live. I'm really excited about that. Where am I at? Am I on the right one? No, I'm not. So let me get you on my list, Mary. Get to the right page, I'll be all right. So if anybody else would like to come up, we've had 35 come through here, so that's not too bad. That's with all the other attempts, y'all, by the way, because I had quite a few of them had come in right immediately, and then I had technical difficulties. So it was that was an exciting morning for me. I'm not used to that kind of exciting. Hey, you two police, welcome in. So glad that you made it over. Thank you for coming in, KY Prepper. I appreciate you being here. And I'm just.
Thank you for coming in, KY Prepper.
Sorry about that, y'all. Don't have the sound off. I've got 26 thumbs up. That's awesome. Wanted to check that real quick. That's okay, Handicapped Traveler. I appreciate you being here, my friend. I think I've got you on my list already. Nope. Get you on here. We had an awful time this morning getting this live going, y'all. It was just awful. Didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. The old devil was after me this morning. I guess I prayed too hard. But not today, devil, not today. I tell that devil to get out all the time. Well, I'm fixing to close this out if nobody else wants to come up and introduce your channel to us. It's a great way to be introduced. And we're going to go ahead and drop the link one more time. Give y'all an opportunity. If you have prayer requests, please, please don't be ashamed. If it's unspoken, just write, I have an unspoken request. I understand. Um, but we want to pray, and I pray specifically for our nation and for revival. And those are the two things I make sure I pray about. And before you even got on here today, you were also, hey,
How you doing, Susan?
how you doing, Gary?
Oh, I'm blessed. I am blessed. I am always blessed. I could be in a bad situation. I'd still be blessed. You know,
Oh
the
my
fact
goodness.
is, just too many things to be blessed about. I mean, now granted, I understand that everything that blesses me or I am blessed with, I not necessarily will be blessed with the same stuff. For example, I am I am to me, it's a blessing to be here in the United States. The I realize that there are folks out there that may not be in the United States, and they don't have that same blessing. Nevertheless, I'm very appreciative for where I am. I'm very appreciative for having such a wonderful family. I was raised by parents that loved me and showed that, and have taught me right from wrong. Um, I have been raised by with siblings that are truly, truly wonderful people. Um, I've got the best friends in the world, and I'm just blessed. So even if I'm sick, even if I'm having a rough time financially or a rough time with a job or whatever, all that's irrelevant. It can't take away from my blessing. Now that may mean I'm not quite as happy at that moment, but you know I'm still blessed. It's always a question of perspective, in my
It
opinion.
always is. It always is. I'm blessed. I grew up in a home, both parents took me to church,
Mhm.
made sure that I had a good education, and made sure I had clothes on my back, shoes on my feet, food on the table, and I was around family. And that was so important, especially to my dad, my mom and dad, that we included all the aunts and uncles and in rearing me.
I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Mary Bernie.
Okay, Mary, we're going to be praying for your grandmother, but more importantly, we're going to be praying for you. Let me get over here to my prayer request page.
Uh, yes, Rushing Wind Mountain. Hey, I'm on YouTube all the time. I really am. Whether it be up early in the morning, or late at night, I just kind of. A lot of people have other things to do. Some people watch TV. Some people, follow sports. And I used to watch TV. I used to watch sports, but these days, about the only thing I do is really YouTube. So that and work. I got a full time job. A lot of folks know, that I work. Some folks may not, but it's
Hey,
okay.
Gary. Hey, Gary, I talked about you earlier.
Did you?
Yeah, because your YouTube police says mental cop 4646 is your ad underneath it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the only way I can find your channel is to put
Oh, I
that.
know. It's hard to find.
So we're trying to fix that. So y'all go out and check. Y'all try to find Gary's new channel, YouTube Police.
What's up, anything?
How many channels do you have now, Gary?
Uh, I actually have. I only have 5. In
Five.
fact, yeah. I tell you what. I'll drop into each one of them and say hello from here, and
Okay.
give it a thumbs up on each one of them, so
Okay.
that here is here is my main channel, and well, yeah, only 5. Well, I thought about it. Every now and then I think about opening up another channel just for fun, you understand. But I got enough trouble handling 5. I don't even do 5 of them well. So right now I'm mainly focusing on.
I'm having trouble with just one. I give kudos to anybody that has more than one channel. I really do.
Well, I may be. It may. It's there's a good reason for them. For each of them. Um, when I first started this whole thing. Let's see. That way everybody can know if you see one. Of course, most of these ain't gonna be hard to find because they're belt loop 29, and and the
You need to link all of them under your Belt Loop 29 so people know you have other channels.
well, I actually have a link in the is my last channel. Well, here's what happened. When I first started, I had an account that was started as Belt Loop 29 back in 2008. And I never used it for anything but watching videos, that type of thing.
Right.
But, in 2020, I started gardening, and I was reading something about, I never planted anything before 2020. My wife had been gardening her whole life, but I never planted anything. Maybe when I was a kid, my parents had like some flower seeds or something, wanted us to throw them out on the dirt or something, but that was the extent of anything I had gardened. My wife had been gardening since before we got married. In fact, remind me sometime, hey, Wayne's World, I make sure I pop back in on the right channel. Because the one I'm working on these days is the YouTube place. Anyhow, 2020 hit, and my brother, and the hell went to, or the world went to hell in a handbasket. Excuse my language. But people started, not going to work. And people, people started isolating themselves, and people started, we all know what happened in 2020, and I won't go into that. But at that time, hey, Smoky Mountains blast. Anyhow, so, but something else happened as a result of that, and businesses started having problems. And my brother, who owns his own business down here, uh, he is a real estate appraiser, and you know, uh, me as a police officer, I, my work, I had to go to work anyhow, and so um, very few things changed for me for the most part, except for the fact that there was less people on the road. Um, anyhow, my brother that lives up in Kentucky um, called me or texted me. I don't remember which, but he told me that my other brother had not had gotten a job in over a month, maybe 2 months, something like that. And so that made me worried. That made me concerned. Up until then, I hadn't had a whole lot of concerns about it, just because that's just who I am. I have kind of a fatalistic way of looking at things. I don't worry about much. Um, I believe that Lord's going to take care of me. You know, he gave me a decent head on my shoulders so that I could at least figure things out and try to prioritize that type of thing, at least from my perspective. Now, oh, by the way, I'm trying to start a rumor. Maybe you can help me with it. I'm trying to spread it now. Granted, it is a fib, but it's a little white fib. The I'm trying to start the rumor that Belt Loop character, Belt Loop 29. Well, he's one handsome guy, and he's funny too. So if you don't
Well, I
mind
think you're handsome and you're funny.
spreading that around for me. Anyhow, my brother hadn't had a job in a couple of months, so I had been, because of this whole worrisome thing. I did load up on a bunch of canned goods from down at the Walmart, and I had plenty of food, and it's really just me and Tandy here. But my brother had his wife and 5 kids there at home, so I wasn't going to be able to sleep that night. This was like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning when I heard this. So I loaded up the truck and went over there to my brother's and loaded him up with some food. Um, and then I still didn't sleep well. Got up early the next day and went over there and brought him some more. Um, anyhow, so I started gardening. Because I knew I couldn't keep, I mean, uh, I couldn't afford to, continue do that and help anybody else. And, anyhow, so I went ahead and decided to start a garden. Well, my family really got together and we started a garden. It was a huge garden, like 5,600 square feet.
Wow.
And so I was really enjoying it. So, so I started gardening. Well, my first, quit it, Nikki. The, my first garden, I really got into it, started studying up on it, how to make sure it did well. Cause, you know, I wanted to make sure, hey, Smoky Mountain Joy. Um, anyhow, Smoky Mountain Blessed. Good to see you too. I may have already said hello. I get a little scatterbrained. Y'all forgive me. I'm old. And, anyhow, so I started gardening. Well, one of the things I come across when I was gardening or started, studying up on this was the fact that people say you should have a journal when you're gardening so that you know what happens about when a particular time of year a bug starts coming in and this, that, and that. Well, so I'm a little bit on the lazy side from time to time. So I
Me
just figured
too.
a couple videos would be a better way than writing it down. That way I could see it, right? Well, those first videos were meant to be a replacement for a journal, and they were not very good videos. But then, when you start making videos and what have you, you start thinking, well, hey, it'd be nice somebody watch these. Maybe I can help somebody.
Yep.
Um, but then the end of the summer came, and the garden, more or less finished for the year. And I really, I didn't care much for a lot of the brassicas and other things that you grow in the fall and late, you know, late in the year. So had started making videos. So I said, hey, we'll just go through. Actually, I think it was the next year. Anyhow, I started making videos about a little bit of everything, just for something to put on the channel. And after I started putting those up, though, then I realized I started reading about YouTube. I mean, one thing kind of leads to another. Um, but I started reading about YouTube. They started talking. One of the things I read was some people were saying that if you specialize, so to speak, or you have one niche, so to speak, it's easier for YouTube to find an audience for it. I,
Right.
so, so what I started doing, I opened up 3 other channels. One was about gardening specifically. One was about cute critters because I love my fur babies, and one was about what was the other?
Cooking.
Yeah, cooking, and I like to cook sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And I thought it'd be something I could share, maybe help somebody with that. Think of something new. I'm sure that's my wife. She's probably just calling to ask. No, it's spam risk. Well, that's spam risk. We ain't gonna. Anyhow, so I started those. Well, I never worked on them as much as I worked on this, my main channel.
Right.
Um, After a while, I started going through, and I always made it a point because of the fact that while I am a police officer, it's not who I am, it's just what I do. It's not, I have a lot of different interests, and I thought that it would be good to be able to show that police officers are more than just their job, more than just a badge, which a lot of people get that, have preconceptions about police officers. So that kind of grew to be my focus. But on there, because of the focus, at least to some degree, I never really talked about law enforcement. I never really talked about, anything about policing. Well, after so much conversation with a lot of the officers up at work, I I thought, well, it might be nice every now and then to talk with other officers. So what I'll do is I'll start a channel just for that. And so I started the Mental Cop because I work at a mental institution. I am certified, been through the police academy, could work in any community here in the state. But
Right.
that's anyhow. So I started Mental Cop. Well, didn't seem to be a lot of interest in that. Excuse me. So I went through and basically just uh, left it alone. A lot like what I do with these other channels a lot of the time. And anyhow, so I went through and decided at some point, and I also kept it separate from my Belt Loop 29 channel, my Belt Loop channels, just because I wanted it to stand on its own, and I wanted it to be separate from my other channels.
Right.
That was actually the intention. I never intended, or certainly wasn't bothered if anybody. I guess having Belt Loop 29 and all the names, it just kind of stands to reason. I didn't worry about it with that, but then I went through and decided to develop the channel, so I changed the name. Was still planning on keeping it separate, just because that had always been my thought with that channel, this channel, was that to go through and keep it separate, let it stand on its. I was going to work on developing it just because it was different,
Right.
and people started giving me the strangest looks, and some people even banned me, or they hid me, blocked me, whatever, on some channels from the get go, just when they saw my name. I never, I never counted on that, you know. But the reason why I called it YouTube Police is everybody's always talking about the YouTube Police. You know, I figured it would kind of stand out and be memorable. So,
You need to put a lots of laugh behind that or something.
well, I think you see, the funny thing is, I'm glad that I've done Belt Loop 29 so much that trying to switch identities or whatever on the drop of a hat really ain't me. So when I went through and I started trying to do some stuff under YouTube Police, videos wasn't any problem. But then I wanted to work on watch hours from the get go, because I've seen a lot of people, even when they hit 1,000, they still have issues with watch hours for a lot of folks. So I knew that live streams was a way to work on that, and I'm doing pretty well on my live streams with it. That's going to be 10. Dogs are inside, and are you on your way? Are you here?
No, I was going to tell you that Brandy should be back in just a few minutes, and I should be leaving here in about 5 minutes or so.
All right, I'll see you then.
Welcome in, Corner Clubhouse Cabot.
Let it go. I'm on the line. All right. But I made several mistakes. I would try to go up on a panel using my avatar, and I would forget to change my name from Belt Loop 29, or I'd go into another panel and forgot to change my name from YouTube Police, back to Belt Loop 29. So it became fairly evident. At first it wasn't really anybody that knew. People figured it out pretty quick, and so I quit trying to hide it. Anyhow, that's all.
Thank you for sharing out, Corner Clubhouse Cabot. I say that wrong all the time.
What's going on, boy?
I started this channel, and it was, homesteading, raising yard birds, and, I had a few things that I was just going to deal with, and then I expanded, and I got into doing this for the other channels, and I don't care if YouTube algorithms catches up with me or not. I don't think I can handle more than one channel, though. I really don't.
Hey, That's awesome. Congratulations, Smoky Mountain Blessed, that they got over 6,000 hours from, and that's impressive. There's no question. The I'm not really worried about the monetization. I don't. To me, I've got a 40-hour week job. Uh, it has been as many as 80 hours a week.
Right.
But but these days, I'm down to just 40 hours a week, which I'm happy with. But even at 40 hours, my job pays my bills. So I've never really cared. I guess the reason why I actually got into, went ahead and got monetized on my other channel was because of, Devil Dog. We wanted to he wanted to help me get monetized. And he didn't want to focus on his monetization until we got me monetized. So, Devil Dog's my best buddy.
Yeah, Eddie's a sweet guy.
He is awesome, and I love him like a brother. In fact, we're going down there this weekend. We're going to go visit. It ain't going to be but for a day, but we're going to go down and visit him, and then we're going to come back with a goat. And anyhow, but he wanted to make sure I got monetized before we focused on getting him monetized, and we did that. He got monetized pretty quickly thereafter. Um, Working on mine, there was a lot of folks that joined both of ours, and so
Yeah.
anyhow, we got a lot of similar friends. Hey, I've got some friends that he probably knows them, but I for the most part we hang out a lot in the same circles, but there's some places I go he doesn't go a whole lot, and vice versa.
Right. And I really, my channel, I really want it to stand on its own. And I have a lot of support from the small YouTuber community, and I love each and every one of these channels.
Mm-hmm.
I can't express it enough. I wish I could go to every channel every day and just do some watch time with everybody. But I'm only one person, and that kind of puts a damper on things. But you have a lot of great tips. You've given tips before on helping small channels to grow. Being focused on one topic or one niche is always a good thing to do. I started out with mainly it was just cooking, canning. I did a lot of canning last year, y'all. A lot of canning. And even when I was sick with the Kabogo pneumonia, I was still in my kitchen canning. This year, I have not done any canning so far to speak of. But I will be soon. And we just got a few plants in yesterday that we went and purchased, and we're supposed to be putting in our garden this weekend if the rain holds off long enough for us to get one in. So I'll be going back to focusing more on that, but my lives will continue to focus on the small YouTube channel community. I think I don't want to give it up. I enjoy it too much. I really do enjoy it. Being able to shout out channels and to try to help them to grow and give them a little bit of my knowledge along the way, which is very limited, by the way. I really don't know. I'm learning like everybody else is.
I would say that Smoky Mountains Blessed brings up a good point. The fact is that you can go there, and Smoky Mountains Blessed mentioned that the key to getting watch hours. Well, I think there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can do things like Smoky Mountain Blessed and get a lot of their watch hours sharing to other social media. I don't like Twitter. I don't like a lot of these other things. So I have limited capability of doing that. I mean, certainly, and you can, I suppose, just have enough videos that take off that, people watch your video and you get the hours that way. As far as I tend to compartmentalize things, Of course, I also tend to jump from subject to subject. I'm always chasing squirrels.
Me too.
But in my mind, you know, there's a couple things that I've come to realize pretty easily. And one is that, the traditional way of YouTubing, as far as I can tell, is putting out videos. People watch your videos, you know, and that's how you get views, and that's how you get watch hours. That's how you get subscribers or connections. But
Right.
or at least that's how you used to do it. I think you still do it to some degree. You can still do it that way. But I think if you want to accelerate, or at least in my mind, another way of going about it is the way I have done really with my Belt Loop 29 channel. And I've put a whole bunch of shorts up with that. Those tend to gain subscribers, but they don't tend to watch shorts. I mean, they don't tend to watch longer format, and I don't think they watch live streams either. So what I do, live streams do tend to, accumulate watch hours a lot faster than other videos. Even if you have a video that's doing well, and normally, unless it goes like viral or something, I get a lot more watch hours off of my live streams. So
I do. I do too, but I've got one video that I've got over 7,000 views.
Hmm.
And, I think the views count too,
Yeah.
to a certain extent, because that means you're getting out there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work.
It really is. But for me to try to accelerate it, I did live streams for watch hours, and I did shorts mostly for subscribers. But again, I don't think shorts, even though you're getting subscribers, I don't think they tend to watch your longer format, which ain't going to help you with watch hours. So, ideally, I mean, I try to use every avenue afforded me by YouTube, which is the shorts, which is the longer format videos, and the live streams as well.
Right.
It tends to work together. Each of them strong for a different reason, or each of them has their own benefits.
Joyce says, to me, if you want creators following you, you do watch. They watch live streams. If you want non-creator views, post edited videos. I agree with that, but I do have followers that don't have channels that come to my lives. And Rushing Wind Mountain says all it takes is one viral video and a small YouTuber can go big time. I know for sure I would remember all who were there for me during the struggles. Yeah, it's, I haven't had a video go viral, but and every video has different numbers on it, and I can go look at the analytics all day long, and it's as confusing as it was the day I started this.
Yeah. Well, I understand. My buddy Jerry over at Butler Family Farm, he had a video that went, I guess, kind of viral. He got a whole bunch of views off of it, even though they didn't watch for very long. And
Right.
so, but he got enough to where he got 500 hours out of it in just a couple of days.
Wow.
The trouble is, you could post another video with the exact same subject and everything else, and you could have two videos side by side. One of them takes off, and the other one doesn't.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to be consistent with that.
Well, it's like Missy's channel. Missy posted a video of her dancing on Facebook, and she got over 1,000 views. And she posted the same video on YouTube, and she didn't get hardly any views.
Right.
And it just depends on where you're posting it, I guess.
I had one short that I gained like over 200, I think it was like 240, 250 subscribers.
All right.
I mean, and that, while it was great and it helped me a long way towards I say goal. A lot of people want to hit that 1,000 and the 4K. Um, and ain't nothing wrong with that. It's something to work towards. It's always good if you have some kind of a goal.
Yeah, and there's another problem with if you go viral on a video, when that 365 days rolls around and that rolls off, guess what? You're short 500 hours.
That's right, and that's
So
why we've been focusing on live streams for him to try and drive some more watch hours for him, and because it's coming up here in the next few days, on I think June the 9th is when it started. And so we've been trying to get him to get that 4,000. He just hit it the other day.
wow.
But otherwise, it was, let's say he got to 3,900 and then those things started popping off. Well, then you'd have to have a whole nother 500 hours.
So that was Butler Family Farms, right?
Right. Butler Family Farms.
I don't think they're on my list.
Well,
I thought they were, but I don't see them on here. I've got a whole list of people that are trying to get what. Hang on a minute. I'm looking at the wrong list. Yeah, they're on here. So I can mark them out and we can say, congratulations to Butler Family Farms. Woohoo!
Right. Congratulations are indeed in order.
Yeah, I didn't know. So I really would like these channels to come and let me know when they hit that 4K so I can take them off. I kept Our New Land on there because they were afraid that they were going to lose some watch hours because they had a big view video that was fixing to fall off the 365 days.
Let me, if you don't mind, sorry, Susan, let me address one thing that Yellow Shirt Dad said. He said that you have to maintain 4,000 hours. No, you don't. You do not have to maintain 4,000 hours. All you have to do is make sure that you stay active. I've done a lot of research on this, and I have seen where they're not going to demonetize. Now, if you go 6 months without putting anything up, yeah, but everything I've seen, and I've looked and I've looked onto YouTube under their guidelines and that type of thing, community guidelines, all that stuff. I've actively searched for it. And the only thing that I found said that if you have to remain active.
Right.
So, but I'll tell you this as well. Once you hit that and you've got 1,000 subscribers, it's not really a big deal maintaining anyhow. Let me just look on my YouTube studio to on my main channel, I guess.
Yeah, see, I put out videos 7 days a week. And I know my videos are not drawing a lot of people. But there are people out there that are drawing a lot of people on one video a week.
That's right.
It depends on your content. It really does. And I know my content is not up to snuff to some people's standards. I have all kinds of issues going on in my life that I can't control. Like I have speech problems now because I have a unspecified white mass on my frontal lobe. I had to retrain myself to walk, y'all, 11 years or 12 years ago because I lost use of my left side. Didn't have a stroke, but I lost use of my left side. I lost muscle mass, so I had to retrain my body. And, not everybody out there is perfect, and I don't try to put out perfect content because I'm not perfect. I have really gotten away from doing a lot of editing. I will edit some things out, but I try not to do a lot of editing now because it takes up a lot of time. I don't have time. 2, I think people really enjoy all the bloopers.
Yeah.
They might come to me and be laughing hysterically, never leave a comment, but they're watching, and that's what I want.
Let me just mention this, because once you hit a certain level, I think that as long as you're consistent, you're putting effort into it, you're going to, over the last, I started doing videos or whatever in 2020, but, and I didn't get many views back then, but the more folks you got on there right now in the last 365 days, I've got 10.8 thousand watch hours
Wow.
and 365,000.2 or 365.2 thousand views. So I guess I've been getting about 1,000 views a day. Now that's with shorts as well, and I'm not too worried about that as long as I'm putting out material that people are watching. And I've gained 1.6 thousand subscribers. It's in that time frame. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that if you're consistent in putting stuff out there, you know, yeah, that's nothing you're going to have to worry about anyhow.
Well, see, last year I had Cavovo pneumonia, and I was off YouTube for a few weeks, and I knew that would hurt me in the long run. And today, on my 365 day, I have 3,115.3 hours. But if you go over to my lifetime, I have 3,794.9 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm almost at my 4K on my lifetime, but they don't count that. I wish they did, because that, when you're trying to get monetized, that would be
Sure.
nice to have, but it doesn't work that way.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm
Yeah.
only averaging right now between 60 and 100 watch hours a week. So I know
Yeah.
it's going to take me time to build up an audience.
Well, that's right. And the more folks you got on there, the more watch hours you're going to get. I'm about to have to drop down just because Tammy's on her way, and I got to go take her to pick up her car. She's in my truck right now.
That's
But-
okay. I really appreciate you being up here, Gary,
My
and
pleasure.
sharing your experience with us. Your expertise, because I do consider you an expert.
I wish I did.
Well,
I'm
you
still
know more
learning.
than I do, so you're an expert in my eyes.
I appreciate that. I'm
And I
happy.
really and truly appreciate your friendship and Eddie's friendship early on, because this channel would have never gone live if it had not been for Eddie.
I know Eddie's good people. He really is. He's a blessing.
Right.
He helps a lot of folks. He tends to want to appear to be prickly, but he got a heart of gold. It's like butter. Anyhow, I did just want to say, well, see if I can squirrel it back to that spot. That the more you get, the easier it is to obtain. And as far as watch hours, subscribers, I really hadn't worked much on my YouTube on my Beltloop 29 channel, and it's still continuing to grow. Even though the only thing I'm doing on it just about is mostly live streams these days.
Right.
Because I'm spending most of my time these days or lately on YouTube Police. So, but anyhow, I'm gonna have to go. Thank you for having me out. Always a pleasure to see you, and God bless you and keep you safe. And we will see y'all in the funny papers.
Thank you, Gary, and I'll be praying for you, my friend.
Thank you. I'll be praying for you too, and make sure I watch your videos. Well, I'm gonna put them on. I don't do a lot of videos these days, but I do playlists, that type of thing. So and I'll shout you out on my main channel so that folks will know that you are getting closer on your watch hours.
Watch hours, and I'm almost at my 1K.
All right. Well, I'll shout them out for both.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate
problem.
you.
We'll see you later, Susan.
You too. I'm sorry if I missed anything in the chat, but yeah, time constraints is a big issue. I understand that, Dan. If you can only put out 2 videos a week, that's fine. Just be consistent as much as you can. Consistency, I think, is the number one key to building up your channel. I really and truly do. Then the secondary would be people shouting out your channel so that other people can find you, because YouTube still, I don't understand why, but they still kind of squash the small channels all the way back in the algorithms. So until we get recognized. And I think once we reach that 1K, they begin to release some of the parameters around the smaller YouTube channel so that we begin to grow. And I really think they do it to help us to grow in the long run, because it helps us to build up a rapport of how we put out videos, helps us to learn how to put out quality videos. And y'all, my videos are nowhere near being quality in my own opinion, but I do try. And we are at the 2-hour mark, y'all. So I'm going to get ready to close this out. We are going to pray, and we're going to pray for our nation and pray for revival. I'm going to pray for each of the channels that came through today and the channels mentioned here. And we're going to pray for Mary Burney and her grandmother with dementia. Yeah, Smokey, Joy, I believe that they do squash channels even once they reach 3,000. But I've seen channels grow. I started watching Homestead Tessie. I'll give her as an example. She, when I started watching her, she had about 3,000 or 4,000 friends, and her channel is over 75,000 now, and that's only within a year and a half's time. So it can happen. And for those that don't know, Tuber Chat, y'all go check out Tuber Chat. And when he does his lives, he's planning on doing one tonight sometime. He shouts out all the channels that come through his. He puts them on a wheel of doom. So you may be missed one week, or, you may get shouted out right away. Yeah, we will see what SCOTUS says next week. Fingers crossed YouTube is not affected. I agree. Well, we're going to pray, and I thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate you, and I love you dearly. I'm not just saying that. I really and truly love your channels. I love y'all. The more I get to know people, the more I love them. I'm not a person that really hates people right off the bat. I try to love everybody. Y'all can drop the word hillbilly and drop your links for anybody new in here, and they can go check out your channels. And thank you, Gary, for coming up, and thank you, Laura's Yarn Talk, for coming up on panel today. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you, and first of all, Lord, we praise you for being able to do this live today, even though old Slewfoot was trying hard to keep it from happening. Lord, we ask you to cover our nation from the north to the south, east to the west, and everything in between, and then spread it around the world, Father, because we have so many evil people in this world that are trying to control and distort our lives. Father, I am asking for revival. I want revival to start in the United States and to grow and to spread across the world. I thank you for the revival that's been happening at Asbury College in Asbury, Kentucky, and the revival that broke out in the Ukraine, Father. And I want people to be saved first and foremost. And if there's anyone among us today, Lord, let this be the day that they come to the feet of Jesus and seek his mercy and his grace and his love. Father, I ask you to help Mary Burney. Her grandmother has dementia, and Lord, I know it's affecting the family. And I just ask you to give Mary and the family peace about this, and to be with the grandmother for the rest of her time on earth, Father. That you would place a hedge of protection around her and this family, and to let them feel your presence, Father. I thank you for each and every one of the channels that have come through today, Father. Not only do I ask for a hedge of protection around them, Father, but I ask for your grace and your blessing upon their channels, Father, that they would grow in the way that would be honoring you, Father. And that we would do everything according to your will, and that we would be a light on the hilltop for the lost and dying world. So many of my friends, Father, I know are Christians here, and I appreciate that. And I really thank you and honor you for sending so many Christians to my channel. Thank you again, Father, for allowing this live to take place and for all the information that was contained here today. Thank you again. And Lord, be with our Supreme Court justices, not only protect them, but to give them wisdom and understanding and discernment with these cases that are coming before them. And Lord, your word says that you will take out the evil people in one day, and I'm waiting for that day to come. We have such a desire to see children saved, Father, babies, innocent babies from being murdered, children that are disappearing, Father, not just in our nation, but across the world at the hands of predators, Father, and we ask you for your protection upon them as well. Thank you again, Father, for allowing me to be a mouthpiece for you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. And may you be fully blessed by the Lord. Maybe next time we won't have so much trouble getting this started.